exercise 4-3 deals with Watson's Fish Company, and this is a retailer of salmon. So what Watson does is it sells salmon at a price of $6 per pound, but this is salmon that they purchase or have a variable cost of $4 per pound. We can put this column with our numeric information. So that means that as we examine this, for each pound of salmon that it sells, it clears $2, and we call that the contribution margin. So a way to think about the contribution margin is that this is how much goes into their pocket once they are able to cover the initial investments, which are known as the fixed cost. So for Watson's, they have fixed cost given, and this is again information that's given to us, otherwise it'd have to be estimated, of $20,000 per month. So the question that we have to ask is, how many pounds must Watson sell to reach certain goals, certain profit goals? So first we'd have the modest one, which would be to break even. So to cover its fixed costs, how many would it have to sell? And so to break even, the way to think about that is we would take our fixed cost and divide by our contribution margin per unit, or per pound in this case. So we just take the $20,000 fixed cost and divide that by $2 per pound, and that will give us 10,000 pounds to break even. Another way to sort of check that is to create a mini income statement here where we have our sales, total variable cost, total contribution margin, fixed cost, and then our operating income. So if we take our sales number of $6 per pound, multiply that by the 10,000 pounds, lock that cell reference in here, we have $60,000 of revenue, $40,000 of variable costs. Notice that this will, since we have an absolute reference to break even, see that ends up gearing us toward 10,000 units. So then when we calculate our contribution margin, the difference between sales and total variable costs, we have 20,000. Fixed cost is also 20. So our profit here is exactly 0. So this formula of fixed cost we can take from the income statement. The formula break even take from the income statement. And so what we have here is $10,000 10,000 units breaking even. Now, the second part of this is asking about a certain profit goal. And so, before we get too far ahead, we want to be careful about this. So if we say the goal is $10,000 per month, what I want you to think about is, well, is this number before or after income tax? So if the goal is before tax, then all we have to do is take the fixed cost and add to them the $10,000 of goal, and then we divide by our contribution margin per unit, and that will give us 15,000 units. And again, if we do our checking here, $6 per pound, multiply that by 15,000 pounds, lock that in, drag that down, and then if we copy these formula accordingly, we see that this fixed cost number then should be 20,000, and so we see that we have our $10,000 goal. However, if we move farther down the income statement over here, we're going to have to take income taxes on this. And I would say, generally speaking, if we assume the 35% income tax rate, and this isn't Burger King, so we're going to have to deal with income taxes in the U.S. So what we have to end up doing is take the 35% and move up the income statement to the operating income number. And so that will give us then our income after income taxes, or our net income number. Well, if the goal is 10,000, we don't get the 10,000 here. We get the 6,500. So, I think that a lot of times in textbooks they focus on goals of that will fit into the formula neatly, where we look at this before tax item here, where we take our fixed cost plus the target profit and then divide that by our CM per unit. Well, the target profit reported in this cell is a before tax number. So if we're talking about an after tax goal, what we're going to have to do is convert this 10,000 into a number that's greater than 10,000, so that we end up with over here that income of 10,000, not 6,500. So this would be before tax. If the goal of 10,000 were before tax, after tax would be a different and presumably a higher number. So if the goal is an after income tax number of $10,000 per month, we have to convert this to before tax number. So this $10,000, well, so notice over here, the relationship is we would have this after tax, the before tax number minus 35% of that number gives us the after tax number. So if we kind of use words here, we have before tax income minus income tax equals after tax income. Well, a way to convert this is say, well, okay, we have this X for before tax income minus 35% of X equals the after tax income number. And so that would be 65% of X equals the after tax income number. So then our X number will equal the after-tax income goal divided by essentially 1 minus the tax rate. So in converting this to a goal, to convert to a before tax goal, the dollar amount then would be 10,000 divided by 1 minus 35%, or 15,384 and change. Well, this is where we're not going to be, well, we could probably sell some indivisible pounds, but generally speaking, what we would want to end up doing is, being careful here, is inserting into this formula the round up command, so that as we set the goal, we're going to round up to the nearest digit. So in other words, we would want to have 15,385 as the before tax income number that would yield this result. So then when we look at the pounds needed, we again go back to our fixed cost plus this before tax income number and divide by the contribution margin, divide by the contribution margin per pound, which gives us 17,692.5 pounds. So if we take the $6 per pound, multiply that by our goal here in terms of units, and then copy that down, we will see that we have our, let's try this again. There we go. Copy this formula over, and then what we see is we take, in this case, we take the B15, so we want to make sure that we have our income tax number, 35%. Multiply that by this number. So we have, in this case, a little bit over 10,000 as our net income number. So the goal here in this problem, I worked a little bit more than what the author, I think, was suggesting, but I think it's important for us to make it real and think about the income tax implications here. So sure, we have the break-even one where we earn zero profit, so there'll be also zero income tax. The before tax number gives us a more naive idea there of the 15,000 units that would be sold, but then we don't reach the $10,000 goal per month because we end up having it being dissipated in income tax. So to reach that $10,000 goal, we would have to have more than $10,000 in income, and in fact, it would have to be 15,385 as the before tax income, meaning that instead of selling 15,000 pounds, we're going to have to sell 6.